Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the Sierra Club Friday Weekly Lunch and Learn. Every Friday at noon, Sierra Club Iowa chapter goes live to give you an environmental update. And we haven't talked about the carbon pipelines for a little while, so we're going to let you know what's going on or what's not going on and what we need to do to make sure that that bill gets through the legislative session. So I am going to share my screen and we will get started here. All right, so legislative session. Just a quick reminder on what our bill does. So the bill is House File 2104. It's really short. This is the bill language right here. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, a person shall not exercise the power of eminent domain to acquire right-of-way for, construct, or operate a pipeline for the primary purpose of transporting carbon dioxide. So it's clean, it's simple, anyone can understand it. It's one sentence, and it does not stop carbon pipelines, but it does remove the ability to use eminent domain. So this is our compromise bill. We spent 5 years trying to come up with legislation that we can get through and signed by the governor. So this is our compromise bill. And it's really clear that carbon pipelines are not a utility. They serve no public purpose, and they have no public convenience or necessity. And therefore, they should not be able to use eminent domain. It's not like a water line or a bridge or a road or a park or things that clearly serve the public interest. And the other thing, too, is both party platforms, both the Republican and Democratic Party platforms, say no eminent domain for carbon pipelines or no eminent domain for public gain. So this should be a simple, obvious answer to what the problem is right now. This week at the Capitol, we handed out notes to the senators that say, if you fail to stop eminent domain abuse, you're handing the keys to our farms. So we've been coming up with lots of creative ways to keep this issue front and center with the Senate. And the reason is because the Senate is stalling on our bill. So our bill moved really quickly at the beginning of the session. By week 2, it had already passed the House, the whole Iowa House, 64 to 28. And week 3, it moved quickly through the Senate. It passed subcommittee and the full Commerce Committee in week 3. The committee recommended some amendments, but those have not been voted on and have not passed yet. So that is still pending action that needs to happen in the Senate. When it passed the Senate Commerce Committee, it passed 13 to 5. But since then, for the last 6 weeks, the bill has not moved. It's stalled. And at the same time, the Senate is passing other bills, for example, the American Craft Dream Horse being made the state horse. We think the Senate has their priorities mixed up. And Klemesh, the reason we think he's stalling is because he cannot get 26 votes for that amendment that he wants to change our bill with. We strongly believe that if House File 2104, unamended, was brought up for a vote today, we believe it would pass. And I think that is why we're seeing stalling happening in the Senate. So we need to take action and push the Senate to bring the bill up for a vote. There's lots of ways to do that, but the most important thing is that you do one of them or two of them or all three of them, because if they don't hear from us, they don't know how big of a priority it is. So the very first thing that we would like you to do this weekend is go to a forum in your area. Your legislators likely hold weekend forums back home, so that way it's easier for their constituents to come ask questions and hear updates. So just check with your legislator, see if there's a forum in your area, and I will post a link in the chat here in a little bit with some of the forums that we know about as well. Second thing, you can write to your senator, send them an email. A little trick to email your legislator is all of their emails are first name dot last name at legis.iowa.gov. So if you know their name, you can send them an email. You can also find their emails on the legislative website. Another thing you can do is call your senator on Tuesday. Call them and ask them these questions that we're going to tell you in a minute and see what they say. If you hear anything back from either at your forum or an email or your calls, let us know. The number to call the Senate is 515-281-3371. And the message that we're wanting to ask legislators this week is it's time to pass House File 2104 with no amendments. Carbon pipelines are not a utility, they serve no public purpose, and they have no public convenience or necessity. They should not have the power to use eminent domain. It's in both party platforms. What is your plan to pass a clean version of House File 2104 with no amendments? Please let us know if you hear anything. And before we wrap up for the day, we thought we would show you another little note that we sent in last week to kind of draw attention to the fact that their priorities are messed up in the Senate. So this one said, while the Iowa Senate proudly saddled up to decree the American cream draft horse, the pride of Iowa history, farmers still wait while pipelines advance, their land on the line in an eminent domain dance. A horse gets a title, a vote, and applause, while property rights stall and procedural pause. If that's the agenda their leaders endorse, seems Senate priorities are a little off course. So get creative, make sure your message stands out, but bottom line is make sure they hear from us that we need this bill to pass before the end of the legislative session. So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, post those in the comments. I will put the list of forums in the comments as well, and we will talk to you next Friday. Thank you and have a great weekend.